Hey, YouTube's Will from Will Development. This is my 422nd weekly update. Pretty alright this week, pretty alright. You know, it's one of those things, I've talked about it before, I'll talk about it a million times. There's just going to be some of those days, and yesterday was one of those days for me. I was playing with lead, which is always fun. It's actually super dangerous, and melting it and pouring it. And you know, the funny thing is, I've done it more than a handful of times, not a lot, but you know, more than a handful of times, never had any problems, never any issues processing and working with lead. And then both yesterday and today had some kind of eruptions, which were very exciting. Yesterday was the much more exciting one, where a drop actually got really close to my eye, which just reminded me that maybe I should be wearing some sort of face shield while I do that kind of work. Weirdest thing was, it wasn't even like I was doing anything crazy. I was literally just dipping the ladle that I always use to sort of mix around the lead and kind of get the gunk from the bottom up to make sure it's as pure as I can kind of get it, you know, without being sort of a professional, you know, smith of some kind. You know, working with lead is only, it's the smallest knowledge base that I need to have as a stone maker. You know what I mean? So I haven't spent a lot of time learning much with like metal and metallurgy, I guess, and all that stuff. But went to just put the ladle in, and you know, the ladle, it's just a spoon, and I went to put it in the lead like this, and I guess there must have just either the ladle was colder than I thought it was, or it still had like a drop of water on it or something, or maybe there was something on it that was a lot colder than the lead that I was dipping it into, which is about 620 degrees. That's when lead starts to melt. So whatever it was too cold, and it literally just went and just popped, and ruined the shirt I was wearing, ruined the shorts I was wearing, like literally burned a hole through them, splattered up, gave me that little dot right there on my arm. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, gave me that little guy there. Piece went up here. And so that was very exciting yesterday. And other than that, I just felt just awful. I'm going to just blame it on something I must have eaten yesterday. Couldn't tell you. I did go in and get some deadlifts done, but that was it. I literally just did my deadlifts, and then I was like, I'm done. I got to go home. This is just not, it's not worth pushing through this. I need more sleep tonight, and then I'll come back, you know, Friday, being today, and have a good training session on axle clean and press, which I did. But this week actually marks the last week of doing sort of the stupid high volume, you know, like 4 sets of 10 and 4 sets of 8 and that sort of thing on deadlifts and squats. Squats have felt so much better. I've gotten to the point now where I can squat I don't even want to call it a lot of weight, but I'm doing more weight than I did week 1. And I'm able to hit, like, consistently at least 8 reps in succession. Whereas, like, week 1, I was hitting, like, 2 reps, and then I was dying. And then 2 reps and dying. And now there's more weight, probably about 50 or so more pounds than what I was starting with on week 1. And I can hit 10 reps, like, in a row on one of the sets I did. So it's working. Same thing on deadlifts. Did drop that from 10 to 8. On the second week. I just felt like 10 was just a little too much. And yeah, like the sets, it was like the first set I could get through like 7, breather, and then 8, you know what I mean? Now it was like that first set, I just did 8 in a row. The second set, 8 in a row, no problem. So like other than yesterday, those went really well. Which they still went fine yesterday. Just not as well as I would have hoped. So next week we start doing 5s on squats, 4s on deads, and just continue moving along with the pressing program as prescribed, which has been going very well. I want to say Tuesday, I did not feel very good. Just going in there, everything felt terrible. It wasn't actually until my 3rd set of 6, which was my top set for the day, and it was just push press out of the rack. I think it was like 170 or something like that. It wasn't until the 3rd set that it actually went well and felt good. Like, the first two sets were a fight, and then the final set got through like 4 reps, easy. Fifth rep, not too bad. Sixth set, slight grind. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, well, it's just kind of the way it is sometimes. And like I said, yesterday was a bit of a struggle bus. Did not do as much work as I would have liked. And I don't want to say probably should have, but it was just one of those days where I just had to call it. And then today went just wonderful. In terms of the pressing, I was looking back through my notes from the last time I ran this program, and when I was on this week, I actually had failed all 3 of the top sets. Couldn't hit the weights. Just wasn't happening. And then hit the first top set, no problem. It was actually easy. Did an AMRAP with a good bit of weight, and like I said, I had failed it last time I ran this. Actually hit it for 2 this time. And then the last one, I had done it, again, failed the third one, ended up hitting it for 4, I think. And honestly, I probably could have done a 5th, but it was one of those things where, like, I'm just going to call it, just take the win and walk away, because the 4th rep was a little tough, both on the clean and the press. So it's like, I'm just going to call, I'm just going to walk away and just do some accessories on the arms, get a good little pump in the triceps, and just call it, because I've got some work to do tomorrow and Sunday. I've got just tons of work all the time anyway right now. But it's fine. It's good. Work is good. But it is a factor. And that's something to think about. Don't be a pussy about it. Where it's like, oh, I worked all this, that, and the other, and then, when I came into the gym, that's why it was tougher. Like, no. If that's always your excuse, like, you're not going to make it very far. But, like, I've been doing this long enough where it's like, you know what? I had a rough day. I had a heavy day at work. It explains why this was tougher. Explains why this whole week's tougher. Just the overall stress of work right now is it is a factor, just in general, as in terms of my recovery ability. But it's all just seasons. So I figure with the level of stress I've been sort of dealing with, I'm trying to find a better word than dealing, the level of stress I'm being exposed to right now with work, I'm going to call this week a win anyway. And if next week goes 5% better than this week did, I'm going to call that an absolute win. Even if it goes as well as this week did, I'm going to call it a win, because I know the next few, honestly, like 2 or 3 weeks are going to be very stressful work-wise. It's very much so a crunch time for me. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good. I'm happy. I like starting off the year with tons of work to do and pretty decent money rolling in, that kind of thing. So I'm not complaining. I accept it. Yeah, that's all there is to it. So I'm happy, but it is something to think about, that, stress is stress at the end of the day, to an extent. And, if you have a bad week, God, how many times do I have to go over that? You know what I mean? You have a bad week, you have one bad day, salvage the next training session, just keep coming back. Just keep coming back. That's, it's so cliched and kind of silly sounding, but it really is. Like, most successful people are just that person who didn't quit that last time. They just tried one more time, and one more time, and one more time. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's stories of people that tried one more time, and never made it, but that's the other cliche, right? If you never try, you'll never make it. So just don't quit. Have a bad training session. Come back in the next day. Took Thursday on the chin very well. I didn't even get too upset about it. I was just like, this is where I'm at today. And that's okay. So I can tell even I'm evolving a little bit, because it's not too long ago I would have experienced yesterday's training session and been very upset about it and probably thrown a little hissy fit. But right now it's just like, what it is, bro. You're trying to cut down on weight. You've had a lot of stress at work. Tummy feels terrible today, that kind of stuff. And it's okay. You know what I mean? I was still able to get some good work in, and we called it. So yeah, just, don't don't resist accepting the cliche lines. They're cliches for a reason. And if you do, then what's your excuse?